What's going on, everyone? So I wanted to just give you a little bit more of my backstory and tell you a little bit more about myself and where I come from and why I'm so passionate about teaching people the importance of how to increase their energy and burn fat, lose weight, just overall, just increase the quality of their living. So for me, this all started way back when growing up in central Pennsylvania. I grew up in an environment, a community where it was very, very normal to eat specific kinds of foods, processed foods, and eventually it was just normal to eventually end up on some type of pharmaceutical or medication to kind of treat the issue. I grew up with a lot of skin issues, a lot of just horrible allergies, pretty much all year round, joint pain, dandruff, horrible gut health, you name it. Had a lot of issues. I was taking medications for all of these things. And what really, really stood out for me the most was the fact, again, that something was off. Something didn't seem right. Something felt like it was kind of out of place with everything. Even though everyone else was taking the medicines and the Tylenols and the Allegras and all the stuff and putting the creams on the skin and all the things, and struggling with their weight loss. It's something didn't seem right. Kind of fast forward, I was in and out of detention, suspension. I was pretty hard headed growing up as a kid, and my dad grew up on a dairy farm. So during the summers, from age about 11 to maybe 13, instead of going on vacation with my family, my friends, to the beach, traveling wherever, I went to Delta, Pennsylvania, to milk cows, load hay, clean barns, and so on, to work on a farm, basically. I did that for 3 years in a row for about 2.5 to 3 months at a time. And we're talking about waking up as a preteen and early teenager at around 3:45, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 to 6 days a week, to do your first milking of the cows. And we're milking over I don't know, 60, 70 cows per session, if that's what you want to call it. But so in between that, and that takes, I can't remember exactly, maybe a couple of hours of just like nonstop work. After that, you go and grab a quick breakfast. Then we would go and feed barns. Then after that, and again, this is during the summer, we would be up in the hot hay mow, unloading hay bales from the wagons and the hay wagons that basically would pull up, and my pop-up and I would be up in that hot attic of a barn, and I'd be catching the hay bales, and I'd pitch them to my grandfather, and he'd catch them, he'd stack them, and that was for me, it was an opportunity for not only to discover this hidden secret of what comes from moving more often, but also just to be out of the environment that I was in for that during that time when I was working on the farm. So I was away from a lot of the foods, because a lot of the foods that we were eating when I was there working on the farm were from local Amish neighbors. So we're talking about delicious vegetables, delicious fresh baked goods that weren't from processed bleached flour. We're talking about hearty, nutrient dense ingredients. So I come back home, and again, that intuition, that something deep inside of me was that much stronger of something being off. And I remember struggling with my weight. I remember lifting weights and performing, getting ready for sports and all the things, and something still feeling off. I had the strength there, but the joint integrity wasn't there. The caffeine didn't feel right. Drinking the coffee or the pre-workouts, and I noticed I started gaining a lot more body fat. And I noticed my friends and some of my family were doing the same thing. So kind of fast forward towards the end of my high school career, or high school time, I had a couple of injuries, and I found myself really, really diving into men's health magazines and men's fitness magazines and other health magazines. And I would tear out pages of these magazines and workouts and articles that I liked, and I kept a folder that I would go back and reread these magazines. This is before Google and YouTube and all of that. And I would revisit these on a regular basis. I became obsessed because something was telling me that there's a hidden gem in these articles that's going to change the game for me and my loved ones as well. So I would do these workouts, and I would do these stretches, and I would implement these suggestions that I was getting from these articles on a regular basis. And I noticed that by doing this thing, essentially doing the opposite of what everyone else was doing, I found myself starting to change for the better. So I realized, you know what, if I want to keep doing this, and especially if I want to keep eating well, I need to learn how to cook. So I decided it was either go to culinary school or go to school for sports medicine, which was kind of a, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place there. And I was highly encouraged from a teacher who I looked up to go to culinary school. So I went to culinary school, became a chef for a while, worked at a few very well-known restaurants here in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, as well as some country clubs back in central Pennsylvania. And while I was in culinary school, though, I learned all of these things. Then I graduated and I went into the restaurant industry and became a chef. And then I moved to California and again worked at a few really, really awesome restaurants, Zuni Cafe, some other restaurants here in the area. And I realized that this is amazing. I'm making some healthy meals, but the lifestyle that I have with this, the late nights, the long shifts, the lack of just ability to take care of myself because of what was required to keep up with the pace of running kitchens and so on. It didn't even out. My actions were not aligning with my core values. So I decided to go back to school for kinesiology, and I started personal training. Started doing that as well, and I realized that with all the things that I was learning, there were still key things that no one was talking about, and I couldn't quite describe. I couldn't quite figure it out. But I decided to start looking at more or through more of a holistic lens. And I decided to start working with mentors and other coaches who could help me learn more about things as a whole, how your breathing, how your movement, how your nutrition, how your sleep hygiene, how your water intake, right? And how your mindset, those 6 foundational principles can actually come all together. When you have all of those aligned, some outstanding, world-changing things can and will happen to and for you and to and for those around you if you can start with that foundation. So I hired just some of the best in the world, worked with some of the best, got certified, again, went back to school, and my business started to pick up because I was not only teaching everyone that what I was learning, but I was most importantly being a living example of what it was that I was teaching and what I was learning. And I learned very quickly that most people will learn by watching. They'll learn by your example more so than what you're saying. So I decided to just take a second, think for about a week, and really figure out how I can just spread the word and tell as many people as possible. And I decided to just really start to catalog and track how my skin was clearing up, and I no longer needed medications to take care of the skin, how my body fat was going down, how my strength was going up, energy levels going up, all without caffeine, without the additives, without all the things. Why? Because I focused on those 6 foundational principles. Okay, so I think it's so important that if there's anything you take from this, my story is that it's all about simplicity. Simplicity being the most sophisticated form of information, just keeping it simple. And I decided to take all of that, everything that I learned and everything that I went through, put it all together in hopes that I could save someone some time, some pain, some struggle, and implement all the things that I've learned and heal themselves, because our bodies are equipped and they are able to do that on its own if we give it the tools and the resources that it needs to burn fat, increase energy, and just live longer, increase the quality of your living. So I'm so excited to hopefully continue to give you some more information that you can apply right away, that you'll see results from applying right away. And I can't wait to hopefully talk to you and or connect with you very, very soon. Be well.